Okay, so welcome back. Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Recipe for Success section. I'm Rafaela. As Hannah mentioned, I am with the University of Toronto Trash team and leading our educational program. But I'm also helping with the solutions-based research program where, among other things, we created and tested methodology to collect data from trash trap device. So you want a trash trap. That's why we are all here. To start here, we have outlined a recipe for you all to follow and adjust it based on your tastes and what your kitchen can handle. For those of you who are avid bakers, you know you have to follow the recipe to a T in order for the final product to come out perfect. But here, we are just providing you with some rough guidelines to have a successful trash trapping project and giving you all the opportunity to learn from some of our mistakes and make notes of some of aspects we didn't quite consider before. So what do you need for a trash trapping project? I think before Chelsea and Hannah already explained a little bit, but I will go further in our discussion. So you will need a trash trap device, of course, a body of water to put it in, a team as passionate as you are, funding, big bucket of motivation, and a lot of optimism. Next, throughout the presentation, we'll go through the steps on how to utilize your ingredients for a successful trash trapping project. If you're here today in our workshop, it's mostly likely you know you have a trash problem in your area. You take walks along the lake, coast, or river and see there is trash accumulating everywhere. This very may well be a hotspot and a great place to put a trash capture device. But there is something else to consider prior to just putting it in the first place. The first place you see where garbage ended up. You should access your watershed. That we mentioned that before with the other presentations. This will allow you to gain an understanding of where the litter is coming from, what is the sources are, and what types of plastic waste or litter are you most commonly seeing. You must first identify these to optimize the location for your trash capture device to capture and remove it from your waterways. Depending on your region, the area that you are, there may be multiple sources, whether it's a river or creek, or it may be due to high population density on that water body, in which you will have to emphasize the community outreach aspect in your trash trapping project to encourage behavior change. Within your watersheds, there will be sources, hotspots, transports, and sinks. Source points are always a priority to place a trash capture device, as they will be catch and remove the litter before it further pollutes the watershed. Sites of plastic transport are usually clear pathways of where plastic moves from one point to another. Rivers are a great example of this. Hotspots are where the trash trains to accumulate at large rates, but it's not its final destination. So if left untouched, it will continue to travel through the watershed after a big storm, for example, or due to a current and winds. Sinks are when it's the end point for litter and where it often gets accumulated and doesn't move locations easily. Each of these possible locations of plastics we just discussed often overlap, and sites of transport can be hotspots, and hotspots could also be sinks. These general definitions that we are just explaining here are just to help you understand the fate of plastic pollution and to understand when placing a trash capture device in a region, tackling any and each of these will still make impact. So don't worry how much impact, you always will make an impact when you were when you're installing trash capture device. You will also need to understand what type of conditions you have in your water body. Is there a lot of aquatic vegetation? We already discussed this at the beginning. Some of in the audience ask about vegetation. What are the wind and water currents like? Taking notes of this season in your region is really important. For example, does your water bottle becomes frozen over? Here in Canada, we work in the season because our water is frozen during the winter. This will help you think about what device may be more feasible for you. Another important question to note is, does your water body have the infrastructure for trash capture device? If so, what type of device can your water body hold? For example, with the UFT trash team, we want to place a Mr. Trash wheel in our harbor, and we already said that. But due to all the construction that's being done near a large source point of litter to our harbor, it was not possible. So we need to change and decide to use different technology. To understand these different sites and conditions in your area, you can try and Google local NGOs in your area to see if they have published a watershed assessment or reported certain outflows of litter from a certain point. Look for a watershed assessment model for your Sorry. Oh, yes. Sorry, I thought I missed a slide. Look for a watershed assessment model for your region. This may be provided by your local government to help you understand water flow in your watershed and can also help identify potential source points, hotspots, transports, and sinks. Researchers are also working really hard in trying to develop models to predict surface transport of plastic pollution to identify where they are accumulating the most and given the wind and current patterns. But until that, it's more widely available and we have more information. If there is no open data available to you from local volunteers group or a watershed assessment tool in your area, we have developed an easy method to determine where to place your device and get the most bang for your buck. So as we mentioned before, we have created a visual audit. But what is a visual audit? You visually observe the litter present in a water body by recording the types and amount of litter you see in your local water body. You can conduct this a few times throughout the year or season, depend on the area that you're living, to understand how litter accumulates and changes depending on the season or after a rainfall. This will also help you inform on the type of device you should be considering. Should it be mobile or stationary, for example? This protocol can be found on our website and included in your research package that we will give you after the workshop. So doing a waste audit, it's an easy way to understand where the litter is accumulating in your area. And this will help you in the future installing and deciding where the locations are. So for example, here in our map, after the visual audit, we located the areas that need the most cleanups. And so we decided to install the trash trap devices near the areas that are accumulated the most litter. Next, you already know your area, you know your watershed, you know your environment. Next, create your dream team. From earlier presentations, we heard from Chelsea, for example, how engaging with multiple different stakeholders can lead to a successful project. So how do you create your own dream team? First, you want to identify your local stakeholders in your area, in your region. This might be a marina, local government, volunteer cleanups groups, NGOs, business along the water, even fishermen, or even other avid waterway users, anyone that is willing and wants to be involved in help clean the water. As there are many economic and social implications with plastic pollution, ensure to sell the benefits of trash capture device, as it will help restore the water body to what it was once, and it's a long-term solution. So help them to understand and sell your idea and share them and your excitement how the water body will be in the future if we work together. As you begin to bring together all local stakeholders in this project, make it reach as many people as possible and help it grow. So build a network. In your trash trapping project, ensure everyone feels they have a significant part in this initiative, and you have enough stakeholders motivated to collaborate in this project, as there are many roles to play. So the first role that I want to share here is the operator. You need to know who knows how the device functions, who can fix it when something goes wrong, who has the machinery to remove and deploy the trash capture device if needed be, and who can help access the best points of placement and help identify technical issues. And we will have technical issues. So you need to know who is gonna be that person, who is gonna be this team. Next is who will maintain the trash trap device. Those who maintain it will be cleaning it out daily, or however often the debris needs to be removed and maintained, and ensure everything is functioning properly. Next is after knowing who will maintain your device, you need your waste characterization team, who will collect the daily data using our simple data protocol, or who will collect the data using our detailed protocols, which requires quantification and characterization of the leader 5 to 10 times a season or a year. Who will comply with the data to send it to the trash trapping network. And lastly, identify who will work on communicating the project to your local community and organize outreach events or other opportunities around the device. Who will help create signage or tell the story to your local community about this project. So all these roles, they are fundamental to have a successful trash trapping project. Once you complete your watershed assessment and create your dream team, pick the device together. What seems to be the best device for you, for your team? Think about the environment you are in. Do you get snow or ice? For example, we do here. Do you have a drought? What type of aquatic organic material is present in your area? What the weather likes in your area? These are important considerations for the maintenance and storage of your device. For example, because we have a winter, we have to remove the technology from the water during the winter. So you need to considering that if you need to remove, who it's going to remove and how. Once you pick the device you think is best, and you have an idea of where you want to place the device in your area, do you have the capacity to operate it? Does it need an external energy source, for example? Can you provide this? Do you have a reliable form of labor to maintain the device over time? Based on the capability of your team, would you benefit more from a manual or autonomous device? The device with larger holding capacity require less frequent collection, whereas smaller devices require more attention, and collections depend on how polluted the area is, of course, always. It's important to remember the fit for purpose statement. We want to emphasize here that having a trash trap device, no matter the size, will still make a measurable difference. Now, You have your team and ideal device. It's time to think about funding. What can you and your team afford? Many of the cheaper devices are valued around $1,000 to $10,000, but this does not include maintenance or operational costs. Does someone in the team that have a machinery, if required, to deploy and retrieve the trash trap device? Put your heads together to try and identify funding sources and plan for long-term maintenance. And I think this is really fundamental when we are talking about the trash trapping device, is you need to think about long-term maintenance because it will require funding for that. If there is little to no funding, but volunteers are available, you and your team could consider manual debris collection efforts and use a low-cost device. Some of Hannah presented before. Example of this, she already include booms, litter traps, or even do-yourself trash trap device. So in this situation, get creative. It's possible to do with less money for acquire a new technology or create your own. Lastly, ensure you utilize your device to the fullest extent. It's important to recognize that this is not only a technology that removes litter, but it can also be used as a research tool and act as a centerpiece for education and outreach to engage with your local community in a collaborative initiative. By engaging with the public, you can bring awareness to solutions that individuals can have starting at home and educate them on the common sources and types of plastic that litter our waterways. Studies have shown that when outreach is partnered with innovations in waste management, the plastic waste reduction is increased more versus when it's just innovation with no outreach. So we already have some examples and we will discuss this and how outreach is really important to engage with public. And one of the things that we are also doing, we use this, all the content, the literature, all the litter device that we have here, we also share in the schools with grade 5 students, which is very exciting for them and excited for us. So bring the community together and try to share as much as you can. So to finalize, this recipe has been created from many different attempts, and it's still going on and it still needs to tweaks and adjusting throughout the years as we discover new ingredients needed to make this as successful as possible with your help. So we are still learning. Every year we learn something new and we include something in our recipe that makes our project unique and a successful one. So, but so far, some of the things we realized we needed to add and think about it, we want to share with you right now. So one of the things that we learned is maintaining roles and responsibilities. This is really, really key. We learned extremely important that everyone have their set roles and take responsibility for what they are assigned, or else the project is not as effective as intended. Make sure you maintain relationship with your team so that everyone is held accountable for their part. Establishing these roles will make the process much smoother in the end. Next is identifying and recognize your native vegetation. We found that vegetation can damage our trash capture device easily if left unmaintained for a long period of time, and due to some local vegetation like pine tree, for example, as their needles were small enough to breach the mesh, causing damage to the pump. So what we had to do was placing the device far from these trees would just help avoid this issue. Lastly, we found in the fall, we had some dead fish accumulated in the bins. If this occurs, keep an eye in the area. We realized it was unlikely our device caused this, as the fish can swim out the current that the pump creates, and it was most likely due to poor water quality. But if this may occur in your area, you need to make sure that you are paying attention. So this may not be the case for your device, so it's important to note if this occurs more than once, you may consider removing your device to another area to avoid an impact to aquatic organisms, because this is totally the opposite that we want to happen. So make sure that you are paying attention what you are collecting, and if you are collecting any wildlife, that's probably not a good sign, and you need to move your device to another location. So those are the things that we learn during our process. And I think we are open for questions if you want to, if you have any question for me, I'm open.